Hello everyone, welcome to Webinar Wednesday.
Good morning.
Good morning, June. So it's me and June today because Keith's still in lockdown with Glasgow's situation. No, we're only joking. So Keith's at another meeting today, so you've got the two of us today. So what's been happening with you this week, June?
Yeah, it's been quite a busy week actually. Just trying to work through some stuff. The partners and policy making programme, we're looking at running that. I think due to the lockdown, we had to kind of postpone the programme because we weren't able to meet up. So we've kind of made a decision. We're going to continue with that now. I think we're halfway through the programme. So I've just been contacting all our participants for the last programme, just to double check they're okay to continue the programme and that they're happy to meet up face to face. So we're hoping to book a venue. Janie's looking into that just now. So,
and that's really been one of the most popular things that we've done, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite exciting that we're able to kind of continue it again. So
yeah, no, it's really. I think it's one of the things that emphasises In Control's sort of focus on long term and helping people to get the skills to really stand up for themselves and to put forward their own agendas rather than just have professionals, offering the advice and the support. And it's produced some really proactive folk who've really.
It has, yes. I mean, over the years, different graduates have just went on to do some fantastic stuff. So, no, it's really good, and it's good to see what comes out of the programmes as well. And
yes, no, it's good stuff. So, talking of other programmes and stuff, we've got other things coming up as well. We've got our children and family stuff. We've got. Let me just see if we can bring it up on the screen.
So the next one's next Thursday, the 25th of May. It was a series of 5 sessions that we were running from March through to June. So we've got 2 sessions left in that, and they've been really popular as well. The attendance and that's been really high. So
absolutely. So just, and it's an opportunity to have a chat to people, to hear some input on a specific topic. So this is just all the dates. So this is we're halfway through now. So this is the 27th of May. So we've still got one on the 24th of June. And folk can contact yourself via the info@incontrolscotland.org.uk email address and sign you up.
We've been running the sessions on Microsoft Teams. So people contact me, I'll send them out the link so that they're able to join.
Yes, and again, because it's kind of a lunchtime session, it's quite informal, and you've got the chance to join for as long as short as you can manage. And it's certainly been very popular, like you say, the folk attending. I've got a high low from me. High low to you,
Michael.
So that's quite interesting. All that stuff. The other stuff that's on the go, we've got a skills project coming up.
See if I can share the.
So while you're looking to share it, so the skills programme, that's a kind of European-wide thing that In Control Scotland's been a partner in, isn't it? So lots of opportunities to hear the struggles and the positive examples from all across.
See if I can share this document.
Okay. Well, we can come back. I can always come back to it and see if I can share it later on if need be. But it's open to everybody.
No, I don't know it's not bringing the document up, Alastair.
Well, something when you go to share screen, if you go to Microsoft Edge tab rather than the window or the entire screen, there's three bars across the top. If you go across to the Edge tab and then choose the right one. It's different. This is a problem. It's slightly different to
Microsoft, right? I see it.
You see it? It's the joys of technology. I wish they would have one. I wish they would have one format that works for everybody.
It's coming up with StreamYard, email, or Microsoft Office Home when I'm clicking on share.
Is it even when you go to the far right? Oh well, okay. We'll have a go at that later.
Oh, wait a wee minute.
Is that the correct one? You've got
Has that come up? No.
This is what I've got coming up here, which is kind of more and more about your screen there. It's not the actual right. Never mind. That's okay. We'll get back to that later. That's not a problem. Other stuff that's on the go just now. So anyway, we'll give you the brief of the skills session. The skills session's about 40 years of SDS, isn't it?
Yes, it's on the 9th of June, and it's UK time is 5 o'clock to 6:30.
Yeah, okay, and that's PM.
Yes. Just remember the UK time, because I think on the actual leaflet it's
CEST, is it?
Yeah, it's like half, it's like 6 or 7 to half, but the UK time is 5 o'clock to 6:30.
Yeah, that stuff can get a bit confusing and stuff, can't it? It's when you're coordinating across all different places. So other things that are on the go just now, there's a consultation at the moment on it's refusing to share it. Let's try it again. Sometimes it does this.
Yeah, it's a big problem there. It just wouldn't.
Sometimes it does. It takes 2 shotties to share a screen. There we go. It's sharing this time. So this is Inspiring Scotland's doing a consultation on funding for the independent sector, following on from the Supporting the Right Direction funding programme. So there's been two actual consultation sessions. One last week, and there's one this afternoon, and they're looking for folk to contribute to the views of this. From independent support and advocacy organisations, carer centres, health and social care partnerships, any other groups, etc. And so there's a section on the website, on Inspiring Scotland's website, and there's also a link for people who can't get to those sessions. There's also an online survey, so people can do that instead. And now I'm getting Slack notifications which are popping up across my screen. Honestly, you just couldn't make it up. Anyway, we'll post a
It's great when it works, but it's awful when it doesn't.
It's awful when it doesn't. So we'll post a link in the comments after we're offline, and I'll also just share a little bit of, as a last minute information, is there's a questionnaire from the Robertson Trust, which has been involved quite a lot in funding different types of projects across Scotland, and sometimes giving innovative projects a chance. Let's see, it's still taking 2 shotties this time. I don't know sure if it's different about the first time. There we go, sharing this tab. So this is they've got a little blog thing saying moving towards a more responsive capacity building approach, and so they're asking for views to help inform the trust development of longer term support, which I guess one of the things we've often talked about is short term support's fine, but sometimes by the time you're getting into your stride, then you're having to look for other funding streams. So the chance to talk to them about some of the longer term stuff and the stuff that really helps with capacity building is quite good. So the idea is it's quite a short survey, and what I'll do is I'll put the link to that in the chat.
In the chat.
He says confidently. There we go. Right, okay, I'll do that.
I mean, they have funded quite a lot of really good projects, the Robinson Trust. I think we've used them a way back a couple of years ago as well.
Yes. Yeah, no, absolutely. I've been involved in a couple of things that have been funded by them as well. So that's that up in the chat. And then today we are joined by some people from Wigtownshire. We're joined by Joe Gough, Charlie,
Joe.
and James.
Yes.
So welcome to you all. So do you want to tell us a little bit about who you are? Maybe start with you, Joe, and just say a little bit about who you are, and then we can start hearing a little bit about the exciting stuff you've been doing in Wigtownshire.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for inviting us along. Yeah, I'm Joe Gough, and most of what you hear is absolutely not true. It's just terrible rumours about me, honestly. No, I just a varied career, I suppose, within health and social care, and now quite heavily involved in this organisation, Wigtownshire stuff, along with, as you see, Charlie and James and a whole host of other folks and families across in the southwest of Scotland. Wigtownshire is quite a wonderful area to live in, and I'm lucky enough to live in the west of Scotland. And obviously, I don't come from Scotland originally, despite living in Scotland for 25 years. So, hey, my accent is still not very hasn't changed a great deal, don't think, unless I go back to where I'm from, Warsaw, and then I'm thinking, well, they sound really weird. Hey ho. But that's just a little bit about me. Not very helpful, I'm sure, but there you go.
No, it is helpful to get a bit of background, and I guess and the other things is that you've worked in services in health and social care, and I guess so some of this stuff is about how much of what's happening in Wigtownshire has been kind of led by your previous experience of services and stuff, but we could maybe come back to that in a minute. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So Charlie, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm Charlie, and I'll go to the group that Joe runs. I've been there, 2 years now, Joe?
I reckon.
Just, yeah. And I'm originally from this kind of area, so I know it quite well.
So you're local.
Yeah.
Yes. So did you get involved willingly, or did you have to drag you into all this stuff?
I don't know. It's more my mum's idea of me coming to this group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well, we'll maybe get to see. That's interesting, because it's interesting to see how we get involved in some stuff, because what are the connections? I guess that's something we'll probably touch on a bit more. What are the connections? What are the reasons that folk get involved in things in the first place, and what makes people stay? Because somebody might suggest something and not everything works out. So it'll be worth exploring what's changed, what's developed, anything that makes it worthwhile. Okay, James, anything you want to tell us about yourself?
Yeah, well, I'm James, and I'm again like Charlie. I come from Stranraer here in Wigtownshire. I've been living here since I was young, and I've been involved in loads of previous groups like Wigtownshire Stuff and youth projects, and plenty of groups to help me with confidence building and stuff like that. Because when I left the college, I was sort of like at a loose end, sort of where to go next, and previously just went along the ARC just to try it, just to give it a little go. But I discovered that it wasn't really my cup of tea, to be honest, and just went out on my own and just decided that I would gather things up and just go ahead and do my own little hobbies. And I'm in a really good, happy, friendly environment now with Joe's group and the Wigtownshire Stuffs Friday group that we have on a Friday. We meet up every Friday at the Millennium Centre in Stranraer. The Millennium Centre has just recently been all done out and to be more accessible for everybody, to be more used as a community-based centre, and we all love it there, and we unfortunately can't be in it too much just now because of the vaccines and stuff. But when we go back, I think we've got really big plans to look forward to when we do eventually go back. We've got the ideas of starting up a miniature cafe in there, like something like a miniature usual place in there. We're going to be starting up some little cafe project, something like the usual place in Dumfries. So we are, and then we've got a bikes project down in Agnew Park. We're running a project to do with wheelchair adapted bikes for people that are disabled and in wheelchairs and stuff, so that they can go on the bike with our support worker and go around the park a couple of times with our support worker. We've got 3 of those bikes coming in June. The other one is coming a wee bit later in July, but that's brilliant news. So we can't wait for them to arrive. Yeah, things are looking up for our Wigtownshire stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I know it's not specifically our Wigtownshire stuff, but James, you do all sorts of other things as well, don't you? Because like you're on the National Keys to Life reference group as well.
Yes.
And lots of stuff you do.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yes.
So let's just take a step back there, and because there was a lot of stuff you shared with us there. So first of all, I guess one of the things that you've told me already, Joe, about this is that there was a community space, and you were trying to think about ways that you could make sure that it was used for the whole community, a really inclusive spot. And then I guess another point you were making there, James, was about being at a loose end and maybe what you're getting offered not necessarily being a great fit for you, and you've got your own hobbies and stuff. And I guess that's one of the things we're always looking at with self-directed support and everything is trying to say, rather than fitting folk into specific services, how do we get spaces that work for everybody and aren't just little places to slot folk into? So, do you want to give us a little bit more about how did you come upon this this building, and who all got involved in the ideas for taking it forward?
Me?
I don't mind starting off with this, or you can, James, or you can, Charlie, whatever. Yes.
Okay. I don't mind. Do you or Charlie want to explain a little bit? I don't mind.
If that's okay.
Yes.
So basically, I mean, the whole concept of the organisation started from a conversation that I had with a parent of a young woman with a learning disability, Julie, and really good conversations around basically, why don't we just, instead of just potential to just say things are awful and things that, and actually we will wait for services to and maybe they'll never actually deliver, and certainly not deliver what exactly we want to do. Why don't we just set something up and almost don't be too don't have an absolutely set idea of what exactly we're going to do, because that's not up to us. That's up to the folks themselves young adults themselves. So our focus is on providing real opportunities for younger adults with some form of additional support need. But it sounds really bizarre in a way. We're not almost interested in what the level of disability, if you like, is. So we don't want to create a group that's already then creates its own little segregation. I don't mean to be disrespectful to any other organisation, but already a segregated group then starts getting its own segregating off with others. So we want to be as inclusive within that. So whether you've got a profound learning disability or ADHD or a mental health issue or leaving care, whatever that thing is, we want to have a conversation with you, and if it's something that you think you'd like to get involved with us, then absolutely brilliant. And that brings us to the second absolutely crucial thing from the start is it's not just about creating those real opportunities, which James has so eloquently spoken about. It's the way we do it. It has to be led by the folks themselves. It has to be the conversation all the way along the line, not just the language, not just the words and co-production, if you like, but really from its core all the way. And it's the folks and the families and the communities. So, and I don't like the word bottom up at all, but it's absolutely fundamentally a community-based organisation.
Grassroots is better. I prefer.
Yeah, grassroots much better. Absolutely, totally and utterly. So, for example, with yourself, Charlie, it's about your mum hearing a little bit about the group and then arranging, obviously pre-COVID, was able to go around and have a conversation and just say, well, come along to the group. We set up on a Friday. There's no referral process. There's no funding limits to us. There's just, if you want to come along, see what you think. Take a few weeks to come along. 11 till 2, but you don't have to come for the full whack. Come for whatever you want within that period. See what you think, and then we'll just take it from there. So there's no pressure from the very start. I think, hopefully, from the very start. And yeah, just and then we will listen to what you want. And if you come up, whatever that thing is, we'll try our very damnedest to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
I know when, can I just ask something? When James was telling us, God, you're doing loads and loads of stuff, really, kind of site and stuff, the bikes and the cafes.
Yeah.
How is that funded? I mean, I know James says that there's 3 new bikes coming, and then you're expecting another one after that, and you're looking at doing I think you called it, was it a mini cafe, James?
We got I think we got funded for both projects. If I may think backwards just a little bit, for the bikes in particular, I think it was just around the £14,000 mark for four wheelchair adapted bikes in total, because three are due to come in June, and then the other one's coming slightly later in July. So yeah, we've been given word that they're coming, so we're dead excited for them to come, and we can actually see them, and maybe some of our folks will go down there and have a little trial run with the bikes and see how they do. It's up to the individual folks as well, but the cafe project, I'm pretty certain, and Joe might be able to help me out with this, but I'm pretty certain we get funding as well for the cafe project as well, for us to run it as a mini usual place. That the usual place in Dumfries are giving us quite a lot of help and support in the background of this project to try and help us set up a miniature usual place cafe in the Millennium Centre as part of our Wigtownshire Stuff project. I'm sure we got quite a bit of funding for us to be able to set that up as well. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, James. Absolutely. And June, so nobody within the group is paid as such. It's all absolutely voluntary. I mean, whether we're probably at the stage where we need to change that to some extent. And really, to me, I'm really passionate about this. The really kind of exciting news is we have got some. So absolutely, James, as you say, we had some funding from the Hollywood Trust in Crossing Dumfries and Galloway. It's a really positive organisation for younger children and young adults. But we got the funding for the bikes, but we also got some other funding to actually employ somebody to oversee the bikes. Just sort of the summer period now. That was supposed to happen last summer, and strangely enough, a global pandemic stopped us. And we're going to be doing it this summer. But actually, one of the brilliant things I think, and it's just the circumstances of where I am and where we are as a group, is that the first person that we actually paid will actually be somebody with some form of additional support need, so, and they'll be paid a proper living wage, and they'll be paid, a really positive terms and conditions, and that's not without being patronising. Hopefully, that's the really, really strong messages that the trouble is. It is going to sound a bit disrespectful to some other organisations. Some organisations can spend, in my view, a disproportionate amount of time getting funding to employ the staff, and then what they then do is get more staff, and they might do fabulous work. I'm not wanting to be too negative about folks, but we were thinking we don't want to do that. We want to put the focus back very much on the individuals themselves and creating real opportunities, which obviously include full-time, part-time, paid work, voluntary work, training, pay opportunities, you name it, in line with the person's wishes and the family's wishes. And so it's really, I think it's really exciting that we're going to actually have this funding in place to actually employ somebody. It'll only be short-term, it'll only be over the summer months, but part of the role will be then to look at extra funding to make this a sustainable, accessible bike project. And it's about mainly local folks, but it's also the positive nature. D&G's does rely a lot on tourism coming into the area, and if we can encourage people when they're looking and things to do, and they've got their son, daughter with disability, and say, "Oh, great, there's a bike project over there," as an encouragement to come along, then brilliant stuff.
That's really good. So you've talked about, I guess that's that thing about making sure that you're strong and you're clear on the values before you start, so that it doesn't drift into something else, because it can just become something that feeds itself. And one of my frustrations sometimes with funding for projects, and I guess we touched on it a bit, there's this there's opportunity to feed into the Robertson Trust plans, for example, is that sometimes it becomes this endless cycle of you apply for a bit of money, you get a bit of money for a project, the project starts up, and then the project stops. Now, just talking for a second about the bikes one, for example, I'm aware in another part of the country, people got adapted bikes, and then there was an issue about, well, where were they going to be stored? And it argued back and forth, and then it was who's going to maintain them, and then there was a question about were they just going to be dumped and got rid of because nobody was taking responsibility. And it's that kind of that holistic, that think it through, see it through. How do we make sure that it's going to last rather than flash in the pan stuff? And it sounds like what you've been doing is not just project based; it's about how do we grow this as a community, I guess.
Absolutely, Alastair. And just to add to that, there's a really good example across the region where an organisation did bring in quite a lot of. They weren't quite what in my world of accessible, but they were kind of accessible bikes, if you like. And the notion is that they'd be used, and because it wasn't owned by the community, they weren't used until they were just taken away again. And yet they actually did get a lot of funding. I don't know where exactly.
Yeah.
But they got a lot of funding, and there was a lot of different bikes that came in. And as I say, they just got basically locked away in a storage facility. And then, because they then weren't being used, strangely enough, they got taken away again. And you just think, hey, hang on. If you were to look into that, and you say the amount of probably time spent in getting the funding in place, having the discussion, all of that kind of wasted. And there's a million and one wonderful things that happen across the country, of course. But for us, it's absolutely crucial that this is a community owned by the community. The group is representative of the wider community of Stranraer and Wigtownshire as a whole. It's a big geographical area. It's one of the 4 locality areas of Dumfries and Galloway. But it's a big area. It's a big rural remote area. But we want to absolutely, totally inclusivity. Isn't just about the physicality. It's about the attitude that you bring along, of course. And that has to be about, at all stages, the community owning it and actually delivering what it says it's going to do.
Perfect. Okay, so just wondering, Charlie, do you want to say anything about the stuff that you most like about it, or anything that you're looking forward to happening with it in the future?
I don't know really. That's a good question. No, I can't really think of anything. It'll be good when we get the bikes, because then it'll obviously it'll give one of us something to do during the summer, like have a job, whoever that may be. Yeah.
Yes.
Hopefully the coffee idea to it takes off.
Yeah.
And then that'll give
the in the local area, or what's going to be different about this cafe, do you think?
I don't know. Well, the fact is, it'll be run by young people with additional support needs. And it'll not be your normal coffee that's,
Brilliant. So you're going to get all your mates to come in?
I don't know.
Is it a cafe for socialising, or is it going to be like activity based? Or
I'm not 100% sure yet, but that's more a Joe question, I think.
Back to you.
Art of delegation there, perfect.
Nice one, Charlie. The answer is we don't know, June, because we have got a little bit of funding. So one of the things is to visit other cafes in Stranraer and actually see what they do well and maybe what they don't do quite so well, and also have a little working group of young adults, and maybe a facilitator or maybe not, to actually meet up and discuss how the group, what the mechanics, but also what we're actually going to offer within the cafe. The usual place, which James has talked about a lot, is well worth Googling if anybody wants to. It's a fantastic cafe, award-winning cafe in Dumfries, and that provides real proper training for young adults with additional sport needs, and then in order for them to go on and have jobs in whatever area sector that they're really interested in. Most of them don't keep within the sort of cafe environment. They go off and they either create their own jobs or they find work in other areas, but it's staggeringly brilliantly well done. And for us in Stranraer is, we want to make sure it fits for Stranraer 1. 2, though, have the same philosophy that, everybody has capabilities, everybody has skills, talents, everybody's life experience is really vital. All of that stuff, and then make it applicable, as I say, what works for Stranraer. In terms of what you were saying, Charlie, the cafe then will be in line with what's needed, what's missing, what we can do differently, but it needs to be as well because again, in my experiences, sometimes you go to very worthy cafes across the country and you think, actually, the coffee's rubbish or something. So whatever you're offering has to be a really high class as well. So it's not we go there because it's a nice thing to do, and you go there because you'll get a good coffee, you'll have a good experience, you'll be made to feel welcome, and while you're there, you might take up and do a range of other things as well. Because as James was saying, it's a community centre, so the options is,
Yes.
obviously gradually, when things go back to a new normal, I suppose there'll be lots of good things happening in the community centre, and the opportunity to also develop options within the community centre. Because the other thing James and I have been doing a little bit, there's some funding, national funding, to do some art work, and the Millennium Centre is going to be the place in the West of D&G for that. So we're on board to, as a steering group, if you like, about how that will evolve and what that will look like.
Okay, so just checking. So if it's part of a community centre, just checking, is it long-term leases they've done with the rules or rooms, or is it yeah? So it's just
yeah. I think so. Yeah, but yeah, they had a cafe before, but it didn't really work for a number of reasons. So whatever we do, and that's part of this funding that we've got, we're going to make sure it works, and it works for the community of Stranraer and the wider Wigtownshire community. And then other projects will be absolutely. Charlie got fantastic ideas, wonderful ideas, as has James, as you've been hearing, as has lots of other group members. So I suppose there's a danger that we run in all sorts of different directions, and we can lose. We don't do anything that well because we've got too many things spinning plates up in the air, mixing my metaphors. But we also want to respond, not just, but totally respond. If people come up with a suggestion, then we'll, as I say, we'll do our damnedest to make it actually happen.
You mentioned a steering group, Joe. How many of you are involved in that group?
What do you think, Charlie? How many, or James? How many come along on a Friday normally?
Maybe 15 to 20, maybe.
Quite a big group then.
Yes. When we're at the Millennium Centre, it's the main hall can hold quite a lot. I mean, 20 can be fine because there's plenty of room for social distancing, and the part outside in the parks, it's bigger. But when we're allowed only 15 to 16, the parks again bigger, fresh air for everyone. And I think when we're at the park, it's nicer for everyone, and people just enjoy a wee bit of rounders or chatting at the picnic tables, or having a bit of a catch up about everyone's week and stuff. It's more of a social get together when we go to the park. So it is, but it's been really good for everybody being at the park, because we can't obviously get to the Millennium Centre just now, but we're hoping to go back there soon. But it's been really good for everybody.
I mean, this is our third venue, the Millennium Centre, which may actually indicate that we're not very, that people kick us out after a bit. We're a raucous bunch. So, but we only went into this Millennium Centre Community Centre in Stranraer in August after we were. Am I lying? It was later than that. It was October to December, I think. And as James says, it's a really big space, so there was plenty of room for social distancing and taking into account everything else that we needed to be doing. And then obviously after January, back into lockdown. And then since April, we've been meeting outside in Stranraer at different locations, and we went to a wetlands park the one Friday, and it's just really good. On the one level, it seems like a nothing, but on another level, in terms of helping to reduce anxieties and just people getting together with friends that haven't seen for a good few months, and I think it's worked really well for people. And one of the wonderful things I think about the whole group is just the natural friendships that have been created, and you don't want to put any limits on that. it's just it's that bit. It's almost like that film. If you build it, they will come. You know, if you just create the atmosphere, if you get that right, and you just then enable people to just have levers with other folks, and you know, things people have, you know, create natural friendships. You don't need to put a label on it, but it's great stuff. And in terms of that, reducing anxiety for folks, you know, in Stranraer and in the west of D&G, that when the lockdown in January this year, it was a huge issue. The levels were some of the highest in the country, and so people were really, really worried about what it meant and how it was going to affect them and their families. But actually being able to be outside, you know, even if it's not that warm, you know, strange enough, it's not always warm in Stranraer, then it's just brilliant. And this week, as you say, James, we are going to be back in the Millennium Centre. It is a limit at the moment, 15, and that's including all the support. So there's some of the group are not coming quite at the moment, but when gradually it's eased, that will change. And it's, if you take into account the really small rural nature population of the area, is not a bad number of folks that come. And there's, you know, it's absolutely up to people whether they come or not and how long they stay for. I mean, I know I keep saying that, but we've been ahead of the curve because I think partly because of that, because there's absolutely, you know, even though I go on and on and on, I really need to stress that, you know, no pressure on anybody. People get a positive experience, so they choose to come again. And you know, and then we big interest of yours, Alastair, is we're absolutely not risk averse. We'll go for it wherever we can. We won't break the rules or flout the rules, but we'll get out there when we can, and we'll be kind of ahead of the curve of other groups and really push it forward and keep a balance, because the people's mental health and well-being needs to be absolutely at the centre of all that we do.
So thinking about that, because there's obviously a huge amount of effort and a lot of passion going into creating the space for people to get involved in creating it themselves and stuff. So in terms of getting that message out there, obviously there'll be some people watching this today. You know, what other, you know, anybody watching today, what can they do to help? What can they do to get involved? And any other kind of, for maybe blogs or for other things to raise awareness, to get people to make, you know, just raise awareness about what you're doing.
What do you reckon, Charlie or James?
I think it's just a bit of what pass on the word, really, kind of thing. If you know somebody that would, if you're friends with another person that doesn't come to it, or if somebody lives in somewhere like Wigton or Whithorn or Newton Stewart, if you know you're best friends with people down there and they don't know it's on, you can say to them, and if they can find a way to get across on the bus or get a car to get across, they can come along and see what they think of it, because it's an open group for anybody with learning difficulties or anybody with additional support needs. So, and I mean, we've had a few people from Newton Stewart down before, and well, because of the recent circumstances, that they've been unable to get down for a while because because of the sorry circumstances that we're in just now, and hopefully when things get a little bit better, we'll be able to speak to the Newton Stewart end of the town and try and get the few folks that used to come down from Newton back up to the Millennium Centre for some Friday group activities down at the Wigtownshire Stuff project. But yeah, if any of us know anybody down that way and best friends with people down that way and they don't know it's on, then yeah, we're more than happy to sort of pass it on really and leave it up to them to see if they want to get on a bus or get in a car and come along to it for a wee while. Give them something to do. Yeah.
And the other thing I think anybody that's watching this is any groups across the country, we want to make connections with them. You know, we want to learn and we want to share and we want to build a sort of a national sort of radical movement for a real change from the community. You know, and rattle a few cages in the nicest possible way, and make sure the focus is absolutely on the people that it should be about.
Okay, so one of the things that might be good to do then is, even if we could host a day sometime, In Control could maybe help to host a day where we invite other folks together to do this, because that's a lot of the time where you hear the stories and stuff and you say, tried this and that. I mean, interestingly, just in terms of that whole partnerships with organizations and making it work, when I was involved with a cafe up in the northeast, and we used a supplier called Caber Coffee, who they're quite active in terms of sort of having a social purpose, and they give quite a lot back. And so stuff was good quality stuff, but it was, you know, it wasn't costing a fortune. They were kind of a bit subsidising a bit, I think, you know, the cost a little bit. So folk were getting good stuff, but it wasn't so that I don't know. I think they're based in Aberdeen, but I think they do deliver stuff across Scotland. But it's you know, it's good to get those ethical and decent partners to be able to deliver on it as well. So well, we've got Carinder saying hey as well from Hi Carinder. Just if anybody else that's watching has any questions for the guys just now, feel free to put them up there. I'm just going to put up again. This is the Robertson Trust one, because again that might be sort of one of the groups that might, you know, kind of that sort of that transformational long-term capacity building change, all that kind of. I know it's all jargon and buzzwords, but it's all about the right stuff. And I think the Robertson Trust have been one that has been flexible in supporting longer term things that can make a difference. So that's worth doing, because they're asking for feedback about, you know, how can they make sure they're making a difference. So I think that's good stuff. And then equally, we've also got this support in the right direction feedback as well, because that's another thing about where do you go to get the right advice. And so that's one of the things I'm interested in is, for example, would your local CERD project for self-directed support, would they know to list you guys to put somebody your way, or have you steered clear of listing yourselves at the moment?
Yeah, that's a good idea, Alastair. We just haven't done it, to be honest. But yeah, totally. There's no knowers with us. The only thing is, we ever came across an organisation, individuals that don't have the same value base as us, you know. Yeah, that's it. It's not, you know, so you kind of got to get the ethos. If you've got the ethos, then totally and utterly, we're up for it. We want to make those connections. We want to collaborate. We want to learn. We want to share. We want to work together. We want to, and I'll put it to you, Charlie, to organise. We want to, you know, we want to arrange visits. Put you on the spot, Charlie. Sorry. We want to arrange visits to places, you know, and actually, and if that means an overnight somewhere, if it's a long distance away, because obviously down in the southwest can be quite a distance away from other places, but you know, that's fine. That's all part of the learning curve for all of us. So that, yeah, totally bring it on, so to speak.
We've got a question from Michael. Do you like what you're doing in work? So that's just, Michael's just asking if you're enjoying what you're doing. Any feedbacks?
What do you reckon, Charlie?
Well, yeah, it's good to get us out and about. So saves us from sitting indoors all day, like a caged lion or something like that.
Yeah.
But do you reckon, James? Do you like what we're doing? Do you like what you're doing with the group?
Yeah, I do, totally. And even as Joe said there just a minute ago, when people such as myself and Charlie and some of the other younger folks, we usually like to get together and organise days out, and possibly further down the line maybe try and organise an overnight stay somewhere. But it's, at the end of the day, it's the enthusiastic spirit of some of the younger folks and everybody coming together to try and arrange some of these things, because everybody's got a different skill that's very much valuable to the group. So everybody gets to put in their valuable opinion, and we just sort of shuffle everybody's opinions together and sort of make it happen. If that's the idea, then let's just not think about it. Let's just do it. And if it can be done, let's just, if we can get a night away or a day out to Glasgow or Carlisle or Gretna, anywhere, or if we have a night away, Edinburgh or Newcastle, whatever, it can happen as long as we can manage to put the little jigsaw pieces of ideas all together. There's no such thing as a bad idea in our group with some of our young folks, because we've got some very enthusiastic young folks that like to voice their opinions very much.
Brilliant. That sounds absolutely great. So just checking, if people are interested, whether in terms of sharing ideas or connecting up or locally, would it be your email address, Joe? Would that or
yeah? Can I make a comment? So there's a Wigtownshire stuff. There's a Facebook page and there's an email address which is wigtownshire@gmail.com. But I'll put that up.
Okay, if you could maybe put that in the comments there, and I'll put it in the comments after we come off. That's brilliant.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody. Well, that's it time again. So just checking in. Have you got any final? It's been lovely to have you all today. Any of you got any final thoughts they want to leave us with?
It's just really great listening to what the guys have been saying. It sounds really positive, and I'm looking forward to hearing how your projects go with your cafe and the bike project. It's been great having you on.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your time and all, to take time to come on and listen to what we've had to say and share some of our work that we've been doing. Thank you for coming on and spending almost an hour just listening to us. Thank you very much. And
well, hope to hear more of you soon. And we've got a final comment here.
Well, here's Paddy.
Well, the candy spirit. If you give it a go, you never know. Exactly. Yes, absolutely. That's a brilliant place to end it on. Well, thanks everybody for joining, and we'll see you again next week. Okay.
Bye.
Bye now. Bye. See you later.